Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, July 1st, Town of Forest Heights work session. The time is now 7:30 and this meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Present.
Use your mic to my check. Thank you.
Council President McDonald. Okay.
Present.
Councilmember Little.
Present.
Council Member Brownson.
Here.
Council Member Kennedy. Council Member Hines.
Present.
Council Member Noble. Mayor Lilly.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this time, we'll now have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Next, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Please be seated. Next, we'll have approval of the meeting minutes. And this is for a variety of past meetings: March 4th, April 1st, May 15th, June 3rd, June 17th, June 19th, and June 20th. Councilmember Brownson.
I looked at the minutes and they I think the purpose of the minutes is to keep a record of what happened so the residents can understand how the meetings transpired. But with these 70-something pages, I think it's just too much to put out there for the residents to comprehend. So what I would like to suggest is that when we get a permanent clerk, that she takes the recording and these printout and just try to condense the minutes. At first, and so I started looking at the minutes and I started with March 4th. And I can't even understand what happened. And I was here. And, you know, the names are missing and it's just a whole lot of stuff in there that's not cohesive. So I would like to put out there that we just do the recordings, hold it till we get a permanent clerk, and then she redo the minutes in a form that's readable and that the citizens can understand and follow.
Thank you for the recommendation, Councilmember Brownson. With that, I move that Mr. O'Connor, do you have something to insert?
Yes, if possible. So we can have the clerk do the synopsis and go back and watch the meeting. But there's 2 records of the minutes and we have the basically the transcription, which I agree is 70 pages. It's a lot. So it's hard to condense. But we have the meeting minutes, which are recorded by audio and video, which are posted on YouTube, and they serve as the actual minutes as well. So in order to get this behind us for proper record keeping and everything that we need, I would seek an approval as they're presented, and with the caveat that there is going to be a synopsis given and brought back at a later point in time. Because we're so far behind in our record keeping right now. This is just one additional thing that we're dealing with in a lot of other record keeping things that we're working on. So if that's possible, I'd appreciate it. And this way we can get this behind us.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Brownson.
Well, the transcript is not accurate in the typing. I don't know what the person that transcribed them heard, but it's not accurate. So therefore I can't approve it because the only 2 or 3 individuals that's in this, I'm looking at March 4th, is Mayor Lilly, Miss Kim Ward, whoever that is, she did a lot of talking and I think that's the accounts payable person. So her name is there doing a lot of speaking. So it's not done accurately, so I can't in good faith approve this.
Oh, I think what I'm asking for is to approve the audio and video recording from YouTube and the Facebook as the minutes of the meeting and come back with a synopsis at a later time. The audio and video recording serves as an official record of the meeting, the minutes itself. I'm just really trying to put this to bed and we can get the synopsis back, council member. I checked with Attorney Best to make sure because there's a significant amount of record keeping.
What I'm saying is that.
Thank you, Ms. Stokes.
if
Just
she
one
were-
moment.
I'm sorry.
So I want to find out if there's something we can post for those who can't go through and listen to the entire recording. In this event, we would need to post the written record. If we wanted to include something on the website, do we have links to those past meetings on the website?
Yes, they're all on YouTube. Every single meeting's on there.
And those links, the link to the YouTube page for the town, is that somewhere on the website where someone can click, like, for example, on the meeting minutes page?
Meeting minutes. No, it's on the town YouTube page, but I'm sure we can link it there. Or to Councilmember Brownson's point, if we forego those meeting minutes until we get a synopsis, as long as we don't have to bring them back, and we know that it's an outstanding item we can put on a list, that's also something. Because I just don't want to bring them back every single meeting to try and get them approved until we have a permanent clerk.
That was my suggestion, to have,
Okay.
we have a permanent clerk and bring them back with synopsis. Now that you know you have a transcript, you got a tape, she can go through and then officially do the correct stuff. Because like I said, it's from the tape, the names and all that stuff, I don't know whether the person couldn't hear of what, but
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's get a link to the audio recordings posted on the meeting minutes portion of the website. We'll bring the minutes back when they are properly transcribed and accurate according to the motions that were made and who spoke and contributed to those meetings, and we'll pass them.
Perfect. That accomplishes everything. Thank you for the suggestion.
All right, so I move that we strike the minutes until a later date.
I put each one in an individual motion for a reason, Mayor.
Is there,
Because
are there certain ones that we can approve?
May 15th, June 20th, June 17th, they're all in a synopsis form. So that this way we can get some of those approved. I think there's only 3 that are not.
We have April 1st and May 4th outside of,
Yes.
those are the 2? Okay, well, I move that we strike March 4th and April 1st from the meeting minutes.
Well, Mayor, they're each one's an individual motion, so they would have to be voted on to not approve or removed from the agenda. Is that what you're trying to do? Remove it from the agenda?
Yes, I want to remove specific ones. Just a question, Mr. Best, do we need to remove each one individually? Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
think are all right. And give consent on those, just name them in your motion.
Okay. I move that we remove the minutes from March 4th, April 1st, and June 3rd until a later date when they are transcribed. It has been moved and seconded that we remove the minutes from March 4th, April 1st, and June 3rd until a later date when they are transcribed. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right, the motion passes. I move that we approve the minutes from May 15th, June 17th, June 19th, and June 20th.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from May 15th, June 17th, June 19th, and June 20th. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes. Next, we will move to the main agenda. And I will entertain a motion if a council member wants to move that we approve the main agenda for tonight.
I make a motion that we approve the main agenda for July 1st.
Is there a second? It
Second.
has been- Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the main agenda for tonight. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Well, the ayes have it. Agenda is adopted. All right, next, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a presentation from the Forest Heights Youth Ambassador, Mr. Marley Cashwell, who is in the audience with us this evening. Good evening, Mr. Cashwell. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
That is very good. Good evening, all. My name is Marley Castro, and I serve as your youth ambassador. So far, my summer has been great. I've just returned from Pennsylvania, where I've had a football tournament. Next week, I start my volunteer. I volunteer for the 2024 Ox Hill High School Science and Tech Summer Bridge Program, allowing me to receive many mandatory service hours and a chance to help the rising ninth graders get acclimated to the high school experience. Also, this coming week, I start my financial literacy course. However, today I come to provide an update on my term as your youth ambassador. So far, I've attended the Easter egg hunt, the 75th anniversary reunion, the 75th anniversary gala, and the Can We Talk Mental Health Symposium, which got me featured on WUSA 9 News. So far in my term, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned that I enjoy being a part of something such as this great community. I enjoy new experiences, going to events, and creating new ideas. During my term, I find myself paying even more attention to this town and thinking of how it could be made even better than it already is. Representing Forest Heights is a massive part of me now, and I wouldn't want it any other way. In regard to what the town is doing well, the new signs, the creation of a community garden, and our amazing social media team have all been important to creating this new energy in our town. With youth, I think that we're doing an amazing job currently. I've talked to multiple kids around the community, gaining insight on what they would like to see and their opinion on what they have seen. People are 100% taking notice to what we have going on and can feel something in the air. To me, many and other youth of Forest Heights believe that we are stronger than ever before. The big idea that I've been working alongside Mayor Lilly is the Forest Heights Police Department versus Forest Heights Youth basketball game later on this summer at the Forest Heights Community Park at Ottawa and Terrell. The idea so far is to have 10 youth ages 12 to 17, boys and girls, playing a 20-minute basketball game against 10 of the Forest Heights police officers. In conclusion, for the rest of the summer, as my main focus for Forest Heights, I hope to continue planning the Forest Heights Police Department versus youth basketball game, as well as a night where Forest Heights youth can come and brainstorm face-to-face in the future. Thank you all.
Well, I might add that one of the events that Mr. Cashwell mentioned was the 75th anniversary gala. Not only did he attend, he actually wrote a speech that he delivered to the audience where he talked about what Forest Heights means to him and some of what he has learned and what he hopes to bring during his tenure. Council, did you have any questions or anything to add from Mr. Cashwell's update this evening?
I want to say you're doing a great job. I love your speech and we're happy to have you. We're proud of you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
All right, well, we will keep everyone posted. I believe the basketball tournament is in a planning phase, so once we get other details finalized, we'll be sure to share with the community and promote the event in hopes of building the bridge between our youth and our young adults and the town of Forest Heights. Thank you, Mr. Cashwell. Next, we will have our first public period of the evening. Public period is a time when members of the public have 2 minutes to speak and provide comment. We ask that you give your name. And is there anyone who's in the audience that wishes to speak at this time? Good evening, sir. Please come forward. You can come forward and speak at the podium. We'll make sure that the mic is on. If you could come forward and give us your name, we'll make sure your mic is on so those who are watching online can also hear.
Hello, hello. Is it on? This button. Okay, great. Hi, my name is Nathaniel Reed, and I am with Free Solar Plus. And the Forest Heights neighborhood is pretty unique in that you guys are technically not in DC, but because the Pepco lines in DC extend to Forest Heights, many of your residents can go solar for free. DC has a program that is zero cost, no bill. It will cut the Pepco bill by up to 75%, and it's totally at no cost. And for people that live in Forest Heights, because you are on what's called the feeder line, the wonderful residents of solar, many of the wonderful residents of Forest Heights can go solar for free, just like the people in Washington, DC. So Cynthia Mann invited us to come here. The church just across the street is on the feeder line. They're going to go solar on Henry's, the restaurant, as well as the church and the admin building because they're on the feeder line. Ms. Mann asked us to come over here because she wanted me to share this information. She was going to come, but she had a cold, so she wasn't able to make it. And again, I have some flyers, and we look forward to making the Forest Heights residents knowledgeable on what great benefits that they can get that are only available to DC residents. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Council President McDonald.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good.
My question to the gentleman who just spoke about the solar program offered through Pepco. There is, and Mayor Lily, maybe this is something that we probably need to, I guess, discuss or figure out, but there's no solicitation in the town. And I had a young person to knock on my door to, I guess, talk about this particular program. And so I was sort of apprehensive because I really wasn't sure as to, how to respond and things of that nature. So I'm just trying to understand with the solicitation
So what we
and
would
now
like to
with the
do, I'm sorry. I do.
Just one thing, Council President, your audio went out just a little bit at the end, but I think I get the gist of what you're saying. Mr. Reed, you can actually have a seat because we're not going to go back and forth. I'm just going to get some clarification from our attorney. Mr. Best, now I do know that Forest Heights is a non-solicitation community, which means that vendors are not permitted to go door to door selling or trying to get residents to procure services. Is there anything that we need to bring up or to point out as instruction either for residents or for a vendor who has information that they would like to share in an instance like this related to solar or some other product?
It's a great question, Mayor, but let me look at the ordinance. It's been a while since I peeked at it, and I'll get back to you before the meeting gets much further into it.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Council President, in case you didn't catch that, Mr. Best is going to look and give us an answer specifically before the meeting's over.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hines.
Used to have signs that stated there was no soliciting in the town of Forest Heights. We don't have them anymore? We do?
We do have signs. I know there's at least one on this side. There's one on the other side as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Reed, this is not directed only at you. This is just in general. We want to make sure that any services that are provided done properly and that we know the guidelines and give you proper instruction as well.
Yes, I understand. That's my view.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Okay, at this time, public period is now closed. Thank you for providing comment this evening. Next, we will have the public hearing for annexation resolution number 01-2024. And this is a resolution regarding the annexation of land owned by Prince George's County of approximately 7.31 acres, formerly known as the Thomas Addison Elementary School and repurposed as the MGM National Harbor Employment Center, located at 7100 Oxon Hill Road in Oxon Hill, Maryland, 20745, also known as Parcel 17, Tax District and Account Number 12-120-3561, into the corporate territory of the town of Forest Heights, the 14th extension, and providing for the terms and conditions of the annexation to the town of Forest Heights, amending the charter of the town of Forest Heights for the purposes of including the annexed property within the legal description and plats depicting the corporate limits of the town, and generally all matters relating to said annexation. At this time, is there any public comment on annexation resolution number 01-2024? Mr. Best, if you could just give a brief overview of this annexation, any legal implications, and general description of where this land is located.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is annexation resolution 01-24. Involves the annexation of what used to be known as the Thomas Addison Elementary School. It's been repurposed as the MGM National Harbor Employment Center. It's located in the southern and eastern part of the town, below the Beltway. I believe the property includes a private roadway or a circular roadway within it. As you know, that the annexation statutes in the Maryland state law require consent typically of the landowner. That's not required here because this is a government-owned tax exempt property owned by Prince George's County. The property is used for gaming training for MGM. I believe the community college may share some space in that facility. The property would typically be tax exempt when it comes into the town. However, there are some personal property, business personal property on the property that will be subject to municipal taxation. You had passed an annexation plan about a month ago, I believe. This is the 14th extension to your corporate territory since 1949, when the town was incorporated. You can see the meets and bounds classification. Property is RR. It's classified as RR residential rural, but again, it's used for a quasi-commercial use owned by the county. As you can see from the annexation schedule on page 8 of 8, the plan was approved on the 3rd of June. The annexation plan. This is the hearing date. It has received 2 publications in a newspaper of general circulation because it's less than 25 acres. Notice should have gone out to the county executive, the county council, the Maryland Department of Planning, the local planning agency, the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. It will be hopefully enacted tonight and will be effective on the 15th of August. And Your clerk will supply the Department of Legislative Services with a requisition form and give notice of the final annexation, and the property will come into the corporate limits. But like I said, it'll have limited taxation involved. So that's about it. That's the 14th annexation.
Thank you, Mr. Best. All right, if there's no public comment, I'll open it up for council discussion. Councilmember Brownson.
I know we had a lot of staff transition, so I just want someone to verify that we've gone through all these steps. That's on page 8. I know usually the clerk or someone put a check mark or initial that these things have been done. So have these things been done?
Yes, all the steps have been taken and the proof of legal advertisement is in the packet and posted online as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Is there any other discussion or comment? All right, at this time, public period is now closed and we will move on to our department reports for the month of June. And we'll begin with the treasurer's report.
Just a point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Apologize for interrupting. Did you want to pass this resolution? Or do you plan to do that later on tonight?
It's later tonight. It's under legislation later
Under
tonight.
legislation. Thank you.
Yes. So we'll move to department reports, and the first report for the month of June is the treasurer's report. Are there any questions for the treasurer's report for June? Now, the treasurer is not online tonight. Am I correct, Mr. O'Connor?
No, he's actually on
He's
vacation.
on vacation, correct. What other questions for the report that we should take back to Mr. Frankenfield? Councilmember Brownson.
I remember the last meeting, he said he was gonna have for us a copy of the audit. I'm sorry, the FY 25 budget, 25-26 budget that was submitted to the county. He was gonna have it for us at our desk today. But we haven't seen that budget that has gone forward, because our last meeting, we made some changes and we haven't seen the final copy.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Mr. O'Connor.
Yes, I spoke with Mr. Frankenfield about that. He is currently, Ms. Ward has been tasked with putting the budget together. The reason for that is Mr. Frankenfield is dealing with the audits with Mr. DeSalvo. And Ms. Ward is currently working on putting everything together. We hope that it'll be done by July 17th. And it'll be able to be presented to council.
Is there any way it can be done before July 17th? I know that's the next meeting date.
We can try. Ms. Ward is working on it actively. She already had a draft that was presented, so it's not completely done. She's heading in the right direction. But Mr. Frankenfield just did not have, nor his staff had the time to do it, to get everything together and keep up with the audits. So she's been handling it. And hopefully it'll be done before then.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Brownson.
Wait, this is the budget that was submitted to the county, right? So it's already together. It's just copying and putting a cover on it. It's not something you got to redo.
I can only give you the answer that I was given by Mr. Frankenfield about putting it together in a presentation form. So that's basically it.
To me, that's unacceptable.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. So, Mr. O'Connor, if you can find out what pieces are missing from it, I know we can get a date when the report is, the budget is compiled before then, just so council can have access to it, the community as well. So let's discuss that. We have a sync coming up this week. and find a more suitable date and also find out what's outstanding that could be holding it up. Because I also think I wouldn't take until June 17th to do that. Are there any other questions related to the treasurer's report for June? Council President McDonald,
Is it June 17th or July 17th? I'm
July
sorry.
17th, my apologies.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm looking at the draft right now. And I think it's pretty much ready to go. I think there's only a few changes that need to be made. So you probably will have it before July 17th, but when you speak of the budget that was sent to the county, it's very different than it's the same budget, but it's presented differently. So that's why it's a budget book versus just your actual large spreadsheet. So they're converting everything into different pages. And that's what I'm looking at here. So I'll be able to share a draft, just so you can put some eyes on it. But that's the best answer I could provide for you from Mr. Frankenfield.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there any further discussion on the treasurer's report for the month of June? Hearing none, we'll move to the next report. Next, we have public safety. Chief Reese. Good evening, sir. Do you have a highlight for your report?
Yes, sir. So, good evening, Mayor and Town Council. As you see, we do have the statistics for this past month. I do want to highlight and want to bring I guess an awareness to we are seeing a uptick in vehicle thefts, not the actual vehicle, but breaking into vehicles. And so we want to encourage our residents to just kind of try to be a little bit more proactive and lock their doors. And so what we're starting to see, they're not actually breaking the windows or anything like that. They're walking around trying door handles. And so what we want to do is try to take away the opportunity and lock the doors. The police department is doing some other measures to combat some of this crime, but we do want to make sure our residents are doing that. And also, if they do have a concern, we do want to encourage them to call either 911 if there is an actual emergency right then and there, or call the non-emergency. We want that data so we can always be tracked to see what's happening. We get I get reports every morning about what happened 24 hours previously. So that helps me out to try to gauge what we need to do next, to see the volume of calls and the issues that's coming on. So I do encourage if anyone wants, the number is non-emergency is 301-352-1200. Again, that's 301-352-1200. And that's during obviously the times of non-business hours. But if you do have a concern or a tip that you want to bring to the police department's attention, you can also always, our lovely clerk will also answer the phone during 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you don't get her, you can leave a message, but she definitely will make sure that I get it. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Council members, are there questions for the public safety report for this month? Councilmember Hines.
Okay, good evening. My question is, Chief Reese, we had discussed the officers coming, maybe taking the bikes out or coming into the community. Whatever happened to that?
So I can say this. You're talking about like riding the bike. So the bike patrol normally has to be done with 2 officers at a time. Right now, there's probably no secret that, we are struggling staffing wise. So the reason why it is because we may only have 2 people working that shift, and they got to have 2 people per when they're riding like that. So if an actual emergency call comes out, they got to try to get to their cars and then to whatever the emergency is. We are looking, we put some overtime out just to kind of backfill some of these open shifts. But what we're going to start doing is I guess later on in the fiscal year, if we see some things change, we'll bring it to your attention. But right now, it is staffing wise, the reason why they're not out now. We normally have them out for the events and things like that, but it's merely staffing. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilmember Hines. Are there any other questions for the public safety report for this month? Chief Reese, if you could, without divulging all the details, could you just provide a brief update about the plan to proactively address some of the issues we've had on the ends of Cree Drive?
Absolutely. So, like I said before, we have some issues with people coming out of the town, some in the town, that's doing these crimes. And so the police department is taking a proactive step of, we're increasing our surveillance. We're going to be, in about 2 weeks, we're going to be rolling out a services to where is that, we want to connect with the homeowner. So if the homeowner has some type of surveillance camera, such as a Ring doorbell, Nest, or anything like that, or surveillance camera, they can connect with the police department and they can start reporting some of these things that they may be finding. We are seeing an uptick that people may not want to call 911. But they will submit something else to the portal to try to remain anonymous. But all of those videos will help us and try to see a pattern if they are coming in at a certain time. So that will be coming out. You guys will be seeing a advertisement about that, about trying to connect with some surveillance cameras or doorbell cameras. And obviously we'll be putting some advertisement going door to door to see if anybody wants to participate.
Councilmember Brownson.
I know in the District of Columbia, they used to offer homeowners like a rebate or something if they would install a camera. I know we don't have a budget, but is there anything out there where you can apply for a grant to give homeowners cameras so you can use them?
So that's kind of ironic. So I can actually talk to Councilman Burrow's office because he offered that last. So obviously we are in District 8 and he did offer everyone in District 8. I think we did do some advertisements. Some people took advantage of it, some people didn't. I can't speak with his office, see if there's any leftover funds from that initiative. And we also can explore to see if there's something else maybe with GoCap or anything like that, to see if some funds that we can do that as well in conjunction with the county. So we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Thank you, Chief Reese. Next, we'll move to the Ombudsman report. Are there any questions for the Ombudsman's report for the month of June? All right, hearing none, we'll move to the Code Enforcement report. Are there any highlights, Chief Reese or Officer Williams? And if so, you can come forward and provide comment at the mic for those who are online. And good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. This one?
Yes.
All right. So over the last month, Code Enforcement Division, I've been working on getting the rental licenses in the town renewed. As it is coming up on July 1st. Along with that, I've also been working on getting all the business licenses renewed, as they are also to be renewed by July 1. We've been dealing with myself, Public Works, and Chief Reese, along with the town clerk. We've all been pitching. And as I've been getting tips from the community about the issues that we're having about with the water on Cree Drive, I brought it to Public Works, and then it just trickled down. We got it to the town administrator, and from the emails I received, it looks like we're getting a handle on that. So I've been reaching out to the homeowners and just letting them know that just bear with us a little bit. We're trying to get the situation taken care of. The town is aware. As I've been driving through the town the last couple months, I've been noticing some vehicles with expired registration plates and stuff like that, vehicles that haven't been moved in some time. We've been well, I've been addressing those issues, so we're working on that. Couple other vacant properties. We're just trying to make sure that the property maintenance and upkeep and things like that are being followed as per the town's ordinance. So
Thank you, Mr.
pretty
Williams,
much
or
all I
Officer
have right
Williams.
now.
Are there any questions for the code enforcement update for June? Chief Reese, did you want to add something additional?
I do want to add something very briefly. Recently, as I want to emphasize today, I believe 917 Comanche.
Yes.
We had, those are one of the homes that we brought up some time ago. So we've taken steps to do that. Today we actually occurred where somebody broke into the home. We obviously took them into custody, but this was a helpful from, a tip from a neighbor. And so what we do want to emphasize is now that I think we're working with the homeowner, it's a bank, I believe.
Yes.
And so these are some of the issues that we come across, to where it's that the home may be in probate, it may be, it may be in probate or going through some type of court battle, to where it's that the issue needs to be fixed. I do believe that, since it is a vacant property, the town will incur the cost of fixing it, and then later on, we have to put a lien on the home. So we did proactive steps like that. We have to secure their home. Obviously, there maybe drug paraphernalia, and that's what they do in those types of homes like that. But we do want to emphasize, if any residents see things at night, if they are living next to a vacant home, report it to us, so we can do the proactive steps of making sure it's secure, and we can do the administrative things later. But that's our number one goal.
Thank you, Chief Reese. Yeah, and I know specifically the home you're speaking about. I drove by yesterday and noticed that that's one that there's been issues with the yard maintenance, the grass and weed growing extremely high. So that's something that we were able to do proactively, since you found out that it's not a person or a private resident that owns that home, but now it's in the hands of a financial institution.
And then also to add to that, some of the databases that we use here in the state of Maryland, Prince George's County, are not always updated, because for that particular property, it's showing that an individual still owns the property. That individual has been deceased for 2 years. So it hasn't been updated. We don't have any bank information. So sometimes it will take us a little while, because we got to dig through documentation to try to track down and see how we can get the issue resolved.
Thank you. Any other questions for the code enforcement report this month? Council President McDonald.
Yes, good evening. So I guess twofold. One is, if we're having this issue with the uptick of individuals walking around, perhaps looking at opportunities, especially where those properties are unoccupied, or grass is totally, way beyond there's a property over there on Shoshone that looks, at this point, it looks blighted. Like it just looks terrible. And I am wondering, how is it that we could at least cut the grass there? At least cut the grass there and put a lien on the property for the cutting of the grass, because it looks so terrible. So, I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Chief Reese.
That is something that we can do, Councilwoman. So we have to look at this at a I'm gonna say, as a budget thing. So we cut the grass once, we're gonna keep cutting it, which will cost man hours, which will obviously take it away from what their primary duties are. Our main concern now, of course, like we did on 917, we will, if it gets out of hand, we will attack the issue. But now we really want to hold these people that come in here and want to flip these homes accountable. That's by, of course, the court system may take a little longer than what we want to, but the town, if we could find, maybe, I don't believe that we have a budget to do that. That it may take Public Works an entire day to do that, and then that sets them back with the limited staff that they have. But we could do is if we hire a contractor, we got to pay. The town has to pay that contractor, and then we would have to get reimbursed, and that reimbursement could take, whenever years that, whenever they pay their taxes and that lien process. So we are taking some suggestions. We do have a handle on it. Officer Williams, he brings things to me every day, and we look at things case by case. If we can say, hey, this will make it hold off until we go to court, we will. But the one on Shoshone, I will definitely have an update for you tomorrow, and we can look at that. If you
so-
have an update, you can.
So the property on Shoshone, I tried to give the residents, well, according to the ordinance, we give them at least 2 weeks to try to get the situation handled. All right. And then from that point, it moves to another step in the process. So just like Chief said, sometimes the process that we have to take from a legal standpoint the grass might continue to grow. But as in turn of this property on Shoshone, I do know the property that you're speaking of, the grass is high. I've been speaking to Mr. Dool. Me and Mr. Dool have been working together also with trying to tackle some of these issues within the town. Shoshone is coming up for me to submit that information to court. So I don't know. Maybe we can, like Chief said, if we have a budget for it, we can get it done. The system that we use, we document everything. We take pictures before and after. So if we do the work, we can just take the pictures, add it, and then submit it with the rest of our court documentation if that's the steps you guys want to take.
Thank you, Officer Williams. Mr. O'Connor.
Just some points of clarity on it. So we are using a contractor already in FY24. We brought them in to cut some of the grass that was pointed out before, and a contractor will be boarding up 917 Comanche this week. We're going to have to identify which line item, likely be public area maintenance or something along those lines. That's going to have to take care of it. We'll have to dive into the budget with Mr. Frankenfield. For Shoshone, as long as there's an abatement order, we can go ahead and take care of it. The issue, the reason it's easier to use a contractor is quantifying the time, fuel, mileage, and everything for DPW to capture those expenses for the court. It's not the simplest thing to do. Contractor gives you the bill, you present that to the court for the lien, it's straightforward. Plus, they can come on demand, and DPW has a lengthy list of everything they're doing besides abatements, and that's why I think it was several months ago, the abatements were there, but they always fall to the bottom of the list because there's always something else going on. So we are moving forward. Mr. Williams is very proactive. He reached out to me about the property. The contractor was supposed to be there today, but unfortunately all the wood didn't come in, so they didn't want to make 2 trips, but they are taking those proactive measures.
Thank you, Officer Williams. Council member Brownson.
Yes, I'm interested in you said we have a contractor coming in. Did we approve the town have a contract with this person, and did we know about it and then we approve it, and how long they've been on board?
No, there's no particular contract with them. The expense is below the $5,000. They're an on-demand service that'll come in and take care of it. So we didn't need to go out to bid for it. They have a contract with the city of Hyattsville doing the same thing. So none of their values are ever reached over that amount.
What's the name of this contractor?
I have to look. I don't know it off the top of my head. Sorry.
Interesting.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Mr. Best.
Mr. Mayor, earlier in the meeting, you asked me to opine on the section of code, the town code that deals with prohibiting sales by solicitors, itinerant merchants, vendors, etc. I believe that if this deals with Pepco solar power solicitations, that person doing such a thing in the town would be considered a solicitor. And that's a person who tries to obtain business orders or advertisements, et cetera, for services. This is a service. So I think that the section 5.1 of the town code would apply and prohibit this type of solicitation on the streets and the private properties in the residential area of the town. There is an exception in 5.2, section 5.2, dealing with sales by civic, charitable organizations, churches that are providing food, laundry, dry cleaning, and newspapers, but that doesn't apply here. So I think the ordinance would prohibit this type of solicitation.
Thank you, Mr. Best, for opining. Is there any further discussion on the code enforcement report this evening? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the Public Works report for June. Good evening, Mr. Bell. Do you have a brief highlight for your report, or you want to open it up for questions?
At this time, I could only take minutes.
Was that, sir?
Nothing to add to my report. So.
Okay. Are there any questions for the Public Works report for the month of June? Councilmember Brownson.
I just had a question, and I don't know what this means. In your report on you have a word online on the date 6/21, because it was sent to us electronically, so I had to write it down. I don't have a hard copy. On the date of 6/21, bullet number 3, you have the word portrayal, PATRAIL. And I don't know what that means. I know what the definition of that word means, but I don't know what that means in terms of public works.
It's a misspell. It's supposed to say partial in words.
Oh, that should be partial TPU.
Oh,
My apologies.
what is partial TPU? What is TPU?
Trash pickup.
Oh, okay. Did you put a legend down at the bottom of this for all these acronyms that you're using?
I certainly will.
But I have one suggestion.
Yes.
For the Public Works report, do we really need a daily listing of activities? Oh, just a synopsis like most of the reports. So I mean, we get every day what you all done. We went here, we stopped there, we picked. I don't feel as a council people, we need that. I don't know what the other people think, but I don't think we need all that, list of all your daily activities.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Thank you, Mr. Bell Davis. The interim town administrator and myself have discussed a potential executive summary for some of the reports, which can provide in writing or some other illustrated way highlights. So that's something we're experimenting with. So thank you for your suggestion. If there are no other questions for the DPW or the Department of Public Works report, we'll move on to the next one. Next, we'll have the Youth and Community Outreach Bureau.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Brownson,
I do have one more.
this is an additional one on the Public Works?
Yes.
Okay.
I had been down. On your report on the number 2, you said check for trash in District 8. What does that mean?
So District 8, we would, sometimes we would come into, well, you know what? Can I give this answer to Mr. O'Connor?
Okay.
So we received the beautification grant from Prince George's County. So one of the conditions of that grant is that we would, when we're in our travels, if we saw any trash inside of District 8, we would stop and pick it up if it was noticeable. So when they're traveling to and from the pumps, like Livingston Road or anything like that, if there's trash on the side of the road, there'll be good community partners stop and pick it up.
Oh, okay. This only, they don't go out of their way, that's, if they go in that direction, they don't go around District 8 and pick up trash.
No, they're not traveling around all of Prince George's County, District 8 looking for trash. In their travels, they're going Home Depot or wherever they're going, they'll look for it, but they're not, actively going out anymore at this point.
Hmm.
There was a point in time where we were assisting to this level, but not anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Next, we'll move to Youth and Community Bureau.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council.
Good evening, Mr. Holland.
Can you hear me? Is this on? Okay. it is
Yes,
on.
we can
Sorry
hear you.
about that. So June has been one of the months where we focus more on the promotional ceremonies for graduates of the secondary schools and of course high schoolers getting out as well. So it's been much more planning. I do want to first start off by saying congratulations to Marley, who showed extreme leadership during the Can We Talk Symposium. Myself and Council President witnessed as Marley stepped up in front of 100 students and gave a synopsis on the information that they learned. So congratulations, Marley. We're so proud of you for that. And the next thing from my report would be the Allentown Splash Park is doing an introduction to water for youth age 6 to 13. It just aims to introduce water safety and practices for the community. So they're offering District 8 residents 6 to 13 free admission to this introduction of water at Allentown Splash Park. They can reach out to myself, Keith Holland. My email is in the report if they would like to sign up. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Are there questions for the Youth and Community Outreach Bureau report for June?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Holland. Could you give a brief update on the partnership with WABA, the Washington Area Bicycling Association and Forest Heights? Thank you.
Absolutely. So we were partnering up with Forest Heights Elementary. We since learned since last week that our partner is resigning from Forest Heights Elementary. So we're now waiting on her replacement. But as of right now, the tentative dates would be September 7th and September 14th. We expect a replacement by July 19th. And after that, we'll have more of a concrete schedule for the Learn to Ride program.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Are there any other questions for the Youth and Community Outreach Bureau report for June? All right, hearing none, we'll move to the Interim Town Administrator and Program Manager report. Which one do you want to do first, sir?
We can go with the ITA.
Okay.
I have nothing else to add to the report unless there's any questions.
Yes, are there questions for the Interim Town Administrator report for the month of June? Councilmember Brownson?
On your report, last meeting, you say that you would have a clerk.
Just one moment, Councilmember. If there's anyone in the audience, and if you have a mobile device, please silence it. And I would ask this that everyone double check, just so we keep the meeting without any interruptions. Thank you, Councilmember. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. On the last meeting, you said that you probably bring a clerk before us. Is that the clerk you bring for us at the desk?
No, I would say I wish. No, the process is, there was 163 resumes. I've weeded through plenty of them. We had lots of security guards that applied. I guess the way the job description was written, they applied anyway. So we're coming through that. I did have a brief conversation with the mayor just before the meeting, so I'm looking forward to hopefully scheduling some interviews soon. But I'm still going through the resumes. So I don't want to tell you it'll be next meeting or the meeting after that, but I'm working diligently.
And then I have another question. The general government forms related to community room rentals are being updated, which will streamline the process and help accountability by maximizing transactions. What does that mean in layman's language?
It means the form is really old and outdated and does not meet anything that we're really doing right now.
Mhm.
And it means that we're taking deposits and then refunding the deposit and causing double work versus just bringing the deposit into the overall price of what it costs. So finance is having to take money in, then take money back out, and it's causing a lot of extra transactions in the audit that are unnecessary. So we want to, and the legal side for the waivers needs to be updated too. So, and the form just looks horrible. So it needs to be it needs to look good.
Okay. So will that come before the council?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And let's see. I'm looking at, well, I guess you're gonna get to this, but you got this LPI will be presented in July for approval to print the town newsletter. That was presented already before.
There was no resolution presented. There's actually a resolution.
Right, but we didn't agree to do it.
There
So
was-
why would there need to be a resolution?
Well, I believe that there was no formal motion that struck it down because there was no resolution. It was a discussion item related to the actual newspapers. So since there was no formal motion striking it down, a formal resolution with new information, because what was actually tasked was there was more questions that needed to be answered for council related to, can we break the lease? Can we, will there be notifications that this newsletter is on behalf of the town? So all that research has been done. So in order for the council to make an informed decision, it's there for official consideration.
And that was one of the things I had brought up before, is that the resolutions keep coming and coming, and a lot of times, you know, we don't necessarily want to act on whatever it is brought before us, but yet the attorney get paid to look over the resolutions and then we don't act on it. So it's almost like a waste of time sometimes, unless the council approves that we want to move forward with whatever you're bringing forward. So sometimes that can be costly and a waste of time. Because I thought with this one, we never all agreed that we wanted to do this. That's my statement.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. From the time we discussed it earlier, I thought we needed more information about what the term was, and then we wanted to bring it back because although I don't know if we have everyone necessarily on board, we do want to bring it back in for consideration. So Mr. O'Connor sent information on the agreement and some of the questions that were asked by council. And so it's here for us to discuss. It may be that we have the support or enough support to pass it, and maybe we don't, but we'll find out.
Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you for your questions, Councilmember Brunson. Are there any other questions for the Town Administrative Report for June? Okay. Are there questions for the Program Manager Report for June? Okay, well, hearing none. I do want to ask one more question, Mr. O'Connor, related to the issue on, it's not on Cree Drive, but it's behind the homes on Cree Drive related to stormwater. I know you shared information with council about that situation, and I wanted to see if council members have had a time, or if you haven't, if you would like to schedule a time to go out and see what is happening at that site, because before we move through the process of selecting someone to do work, I think it's important that council is able to observe what is happening and get an understanding of how severe the problem is and what the next steps are that council should consider taking.
Yeah, I'm open. I haven't heard from anybody to go out to that particular location. So when I do, I'll make myself available to go out and walk the site. If I need to set up some different times, then or just send it out like, hey, these are some times we can go look, then I'll do that. Whatever meets the needs.
Okay. Any council members had a chance to schedule or set a date to go look at what's going on there?
No. But
Okay.
I'd like to. so,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you haven't, yeah, please reach out to Mr. O'Connor and or vice versa to schedule some time. Council President McDonald?
Yes, is there a way where we could schedule something together? Is that doable?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Your audio went out just after you started talking.
Is it a way where we can schedule something together to do the viewing?
Well, I would say up to three members at a time. There's not a problem with doing up to 3 people at a time. I don't know if you were saying anything else, Council President. You're on mute now.
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, you're welcome. Councilmember Brownson?
So in that light, I think if Mr. O'Connor would just give us some dates that he is available, then if people can just check off if they want to go.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, well, with that concludes our department reports for this evening. Next, we will move into legislation. And our first item under legislation is ordinance number 50-24. This is an ordinance of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, amending Article 1, which is the general provisions of the ordinance code of the town of Forest Heights regarding fee schedules and changing fees, fines, and penalties, and generally relating to town fees and monetary penalties, introduced by the council.
Is that ordinance number correct? We haven't had 50 ordinance in 24.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, council member, that ordinance number is correct. There's a memo on file that basically clears up to 50-24. The reason behind that is the record keeping has proven very challenging related to what ordinances are where and whether they're posted or not. Without getting too far into it, there's a lot of paperwork that has not been kept together or moved or placed or scanned or sent to the Department of Legislative Services or even placed on the website since 2022 for the most case. So I had to go ahead and take a proactive measure to do a reset and put something on file because there was some misnumbering of some ordinances and resolutions, and in order to remedy that, so we would be on a clean slate moving forward for whatever new person takes the clerk's position. This was the easiest way to do that.
But I don't think that is, well, previously, and I don't know whether there's any history behind it or it's a law.
Well, let's do this.
They were numbered for the
Councilmember.
year.
Councilmember, let's do this. Let's get through the motion to open it up for discussion.
Okay, well, we can't, well, anyway. Okay.
So we're not voting on ordinance number 50-24, so now it is open for discussion.
Okay, so with the number, the dash 24 represents the year. And the number is usually is chronological numerical numbers. So I know we haven't had 50 ordinances in the year 24.
And I know that as well. I mean, I agree with you. We have not had 50 ordinances But what I can't tell you is if the ordinances before 50 were actually proper and in proper chronological order.
I mean, 50 is a long ways from 5. And I think that's about how many we've had. And we can look at you can look at the ordinance and see how many we've had, and it's a long ways from 50. It's just, numbers just too.
It could
Thank you,
be-
Councilmember.
It could be 25, it could be 30. You know, the number itself is arbitrary. But however, you know, it needs to be set at a spot that the town can move forward from and not have to worry about, did we repeat an ordinance? Or did we go from one that never got passed to one that did? Like I said, it's been very challenging with the record keeping, and even going back to Department of Legislative Services to ensure that the ordinances are done. So, you know.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. I want to go to Council President McDonald.
Just one quick question to Mr. O'Connor. We have a list of the ordinances that we have done in 2024. Is that correct?
If there is a list of ordinances that were done, it's not in the ordinance book and we can't find it. So what we're up against is, and it's not on the website and it's not at the Department of Legislative Services for us to research. So there's no way for us to go back and pinpoint the exact number for that.
Okay.
Mr. Bell says it, I bet you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm not so concerned about the numbers chronologically as I am wondering if we have a recordation of the ordinances that we have done, that we have gone over in council for 2024.
So we're going through trying to find them. What we have found is that the resolutions and ordinances, some do exist, but then the exhibits that were part of it do not exist with the actual resolution or ordinance.
Okay, let me interject here. Mr. Best, the ordinances that have been introduced for this year so far, have you written or reviewed the majority of them, would you say?
I would say that's a correct statement.
Okay, so
I've reviewed or written, the town should never pass an ordinance without it being reviewed by legal counsel. Because an
Correct.
ordinance corrects behavior, regulates human behavior, and carries a penalty. You should never pass that sort of law. A resolution is a whole nother story because it doesn't do that. So
my question for asking that is, I think you could accurately give us a representation of how many ordinances we've had introduced and or passed in 2024.
2024, I'm gonna guess 5 or 6 or 7.
Okay.
But and that's typically the case in a given year. But when I draft the ordinances, I always leave the sequential number blank for the clerk to assign the sequential number. There's no law that says you have to have a perfect sequence of numbers. There's no law that would invalidate an ordinance that has the same number as another ordinance in the same year. Causes a difficulty in that if you have 2 ordinances with the same number, then you have to explain and add the date so you can distinguish the 2, but it wouldn't negate the law, so to speak.
Well, for research purposes, is it possible for you to prepare a memo that can help us understand how many we've considered or how many that we've passed this year, so we could get a number for the ordinance that's maybe closer in line with
I can pretty much
you can tell us.
estimate within 1 or 2 where you are in the number.
Yeah, so if you could do that for us, that would be helpful. And this one is up for discussion, so it doesn't, if you could do it tonight, that would be great. I don't know if you can. Is that reasonable?
I can try. It's probably reasonable. I can probably give you an idea of what the number is, somewhere in the vicinity of 1 or 2 placeholders.
Okay, well, that would be helpful, sir. Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah.
for the purposes of meeting the council's desire to see the number stay closer or even be exact as far as ordinances go. I'm trying to see if you see there's any obstacle to having Mr. Best
Well, no,
give us a square representation of where we are ordinance wise for 2024.
the ordinance number itself, I mean, I chose 50 because it was an easy place to start.
I understand.
And we can go lower, we can go higher.
My question is there gonna be an obstacle if we determine we've done 11 in 2024, Mr. Best can verify that we amend this this ordinance to be 1124? Does that present an issue?
Yes, because I don't know if those ordinances were actually numbered appropriately and sequentially. So that's the issue I'm running up against. Was it ordinance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, that way? Or was there one left off? Because what I have found is there's been gaps in resolutions and previous legislation that has skipped ordinance numbers. So, you know, it's just either way, if we come up a little bit higher, that's fine. You know, if it's 11, if Mr. Best thinks it's 11 and we go 15, I think that'll serve the purpose. And if we find one that's, you know, that conflicts, then we can go ahead and fix it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Best.
I just wanted to add, you know, I've been a town attorney for a long time. There was a time when the clerk would every year put out a list of all resolutions. Why is that important? Because resolutions are not codified in the town code with General Code Corporation. But because codification didn't occur every time an ordinance was done, it was delayed and done maybe once a year. All the ordinances, once they were passed, they were given a sequential number, and then they were posted on the General Code website as new law. And then at the end of the year, those new laws, ordinances would be codified into the town code, and a legislative tag would be put in every section number that was amended by that new ordinance. Let me also clarify something. The Department of Legislative Services does not handle ordinances. The only thing they handle is annexation resolutions and charter amendment resolutions. So you can't find what your sequential number is from DLS, because your ordinances aren't supposed to go to DLS. They would reject them, or they'd be confused by them if you were provided. But I can get you within a couple numbers of your ordinances for the year. Like say, guesstimating you've had 7 thus far, you could pick up at 10, say 10-24 instead of 50-.
Would that
I could get you within a couple.
Thank you, sir. Would that satisfy council? Okay, well, that's a reasonable accommodation. We'd appreciate that, Mr. Best. And for the purposes of discussing this ordinance tonight, do you think we can make the amendment now, or do we want to bring this back for discussion, maybe in new business?
If the council is good with it, I'll just renumber it after Mr. Best gets it for me when it's on the agenda for actual first reader.
Just one moment, council member. So you're saying renumber it for the next time it's presented?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand this is not going to be adopted tonight, so.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Brownson.
I just have a question about the third whereas. The second sentence says, council has the power to afflict penalties, torn misdemeanors. What does that mean? Torn misdemeanors, what is that?
I think it's a misspelling, Mr. Mayor. Should say 4 instead of Tom. Fixed penalties for misdemeanors of a fine not exceeding $1,000. It's a typographic error.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Okay, so it should read, council has the power to fix penalties for misdemeanors of a fine not exceeding $1,000. Okay. All right,
So-
well, that could be amended in
Mr.
the,
Mayor?
edited in the updated ordinance. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. I'm looking at my list of ordinances, and ordinance 6-24 was the FY 24-25 budget. And then there's this ordinance setting the fees, ordinance dealing with parking. So it's either 7, 8, or 9 is what this number should be. 7 or 8 or 9. I think you're safe if you went with 9 or 10.
10.
9 or 10. 10 would be a good round number to start again. And you're probably safe that you're not going to have any duplication.
Okay, well, would someone like to offer the motion to amend the ordinance number 50-24 to ordinance number 10-24?
I have some more questions. If
This
we
is just to amend the number.
don't- Okay,
I move that we amend ordinance number 50-24, changing the ordinance number to 10-24.
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend ordinance number 50-24, changing the number to 10-24. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilmember Brunson.
okay, so, if we're trying to pass, well, we trying to pass this for the town meeting on the 17th. So one of the questions is in the section 6, it says that agreed upon by the town clerk. So are we gonna put, since we don't have one, will we put in the word interim town clerk or something of that?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. Mr. Best, how can we address the issue of the line or lines where clerk is mentioned in this ordinance or in a resolution or any other item that's coming across the desk while the clerk role is vacant?
Well, nowhere, the ordinance signature blocks are signed by the ITA for that reason, because there is no clerk. Where there's any reference to a clerk, I think it's assumed that if someone's acting as a clerk, then they would be able to assume those duties. It would have no effect or no difference. It wouldn't make any difference whether the person is acting or the clerk. Any reference to the clerk, anything done on this resolution by an acting clerk would be permissible. Again, there's no signature block for the clerk. The certification is actually signed by the ITA.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 10-24?
Is that the norm for ordinances for the town administrator to sign and not the clerk?
Is it normal? Is that your question?
Yeah, that's what we've done in previous ordinances.
In this town, typically, I think, again, I've been town attorney for an awful long time. There haven't been that many instances when legislation was passed or an ordinance was passed. And the clerk wasn't the clerk.
Right, so
So-
if you look at one of the ordinances that we have now, her name was down there instead of the interim town administrator, is that correct?
Right, but
So-
there's no law that requires the certification to be done by the clerk per se. It's not mandated by any law, nor is there a law that mandates that the mayor or the council president sign. That's a matter of custom.
Right, so we want to keep some customs.
Yes, but right now, you have to live with what you have and you don't have a sitting clerk.
Well,
So
somebody's sitting here every day.
you could have that individual stated as the acting clerk, if they're the acting clerk. I believe there was a resolution written a couple weeks ago to appoint an acting clerk.
Right, but they
If
took,
we do-
he took it back because he said this week he was gonna have someone for us.
But again, legally, I don't see any infirmity or problem with the interim town administrator signing certification. It doesn't create a legal problem.
Is there any further discussion on ordinance number 10-24? All right, hearing none. This ordinance has been amended, so it's now ordinance number 10-24, and there was a correction on the third whereas next to in this first sentence. Council has the power to affix penalties. We needed to update and remove TOM after penalties and change that to 4 misdemeanors. All right, next we will move to legislation and items for action. And under the first item, we have annexation resolution number 01-2024. This is a resolution regarding the annexation of land owned by Prince George's County of approximately 7.31 acres, formerly known as the Thomas Addison Elementary School, and repurposed as the MGM National Harbor Employment Center, located at 7100 Oxon Hill Road in Oxon Hill, Maryland, 20745, also known as parcel 17, tax district and account number 12-1203561 into the corporate territory of the town of Forest Heights, the 14th extension, and providing for the terms and conditions of the annexation to the town of Forest Heights, amending the charter of the town of Forest Heights for the purpose of including the annexed property within the legal descriptions and plats depicting the corporate limits of the town and generally all matters relating to said annexation. We have a list of the items that have needed to be checked off for annexation resolution number 01-2024. So I move that we adopt or approve annexation resolution number 01-24. Is there a second?
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt annexation resolution number 01-2024. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hines,
Yes.
Mayor Lily.
Yes.
Motion carried. 6 yeses. I'm sorry, 5 yeses.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5 yeses. Next, we will have resolution 53-24. And this is a resolution to approve a standard user agreement for a driver training facility between the town, between the Maryland Police and Correctional Training Commissions, MPCTC, and the town for its police department regarding the use of driver training facility in Sykesville, Maryland. Move that we adopt resolution 53-24. This is introduced by myself, Mayor Lily.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 53-24. Discussion.
Yeah.
I would ask if Chief Reese can give a brief overview and highlight on resolution 53-24.
Absolutely. Mayor and Council, so this is a standard contract. Obviously, Maryland Police Training Commission, that's basically what they hold the State Police Academy and all the state academies there. It is a driver facility to where it's that we just agreed to their terms. Obviously within the exhibit, you will see we are listed as a client agency because we are a Maryland Police Department. And those will be the fees that that we will abide by. It's just we send people up there for corrective driving. They can use that as an in-service. They have a big track. They have the certified master driver instructors that they go there. It's just an agreement that we use. Obviously, the town does not have its own driving facility, so we normally use the state. It will be the same. We would do the same standard agreement when we use their firearms range or any of the other facilities that they have up there.
Are there questions, comment from council on resolution 53-24? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hines,
Yes.
Mayor Lily,
Yes,
5 yeses, motion carried.
thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we will have resolution 54-24, and this is a resolution to amend resolution 01-23, approving a merit system pay scales for the town of Forsyth's general government employees and sworn personnel by capping the pay scale and making other certain changes. This is introduced by Councilmember Kennedy, Noble, and Brownson. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 54-24?
I would like to say that I would like to take my my name off this one because it says in here that we approved the 2024 budget. And I said no to that budget. So this
2023,
2023 budget, yeah, I said,
FY24 budget.
yes, I didn't approve that budget. So I'd like to have my name taken off this one.
Okay. Well, are you in favor of adopting the resolution after we consider change?
Well, I didn't agree with the budget, which is the same as what's in
Okay.
here.
Got it. Is there why move that we adopt resolution 54-24? Is there a second? Okay. Well, we do need a second. We can amend the resolution once we get into discussion if we get there. But we do need a second. And reason why I'm saying this is because this is something that came out of discussion from council and
I second.
okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 54-24. Discussion.
Yes, so my discussion. Because I know y'all need this in order to do the benefits package and all that stuff like that, so. But I just would like to, I'm in to take my name off of the introduction because I didn't approve the budget, which had this attached to it, so.
Okay, well, if you'd like to formally make the motion, we will consider a motion to remove you as one of the sponsors.
I make a motion to remove Councilwoman Brownson from this resolution.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend resolution 54-24, removing Councilmember Brownson as one of the sponsors. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, so. Is there any further discussion on resolution 54-24?
Can you sum this up, please? I mean.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Hines. Mr. O'Connor, can you give a brief overview of Resolution 54-24?
Yes, currently the pay scales that were adopted by council go up to a 20-year pay scale. This legislation was requested out of committee to adopt it only up to step 10 to make it more feasible for a long-term pay scale, as anything from 10 to year 20 seemed not fiscally possible for the town. So that sums this up. Basically, the pay scales will be capped at 10. Nobody can receive a step past step 10.
One question I have is, will that affect any of the roles that we're planning to hire for?
No.
Okay. Not for town administrator or clerk or,
No.
I think those are the only two roles. Okay,
Definitely not.
okay. Councilmember Little.
Will this affect the retention of staff?
Any pay scale adjustment does affect retention. However, based on the pay scale as it sits, I don't believe that it will have a large negative impact. And I do think it's fiscally responsible to put this in place.
And thank you, Councilmember Little. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. So, and the time sensitivity of this resolution, could you talk about that?
Yeah, since it came out of committee, it was several months ago. I had to work through some various logistics. However, because we've started the process with the state retirement system, having this in place so we can get the pay scale adjusted appropriately, get it over to Mr. Frankenfield, get it in ADP, and then when it will be requested by the state. So we need to have this in place. If that changes what council wants to do.
Okay, and without it, what is the impact without it?
The impact is the state will get a 20-step pay scale, and it would have to be amended later on. That's the basic impact, or you wouldn't be limited at 10. I'd have to say that's the impact. There's no legal ramifications from it, but more procedural and process. We'd have to go backwards in the process if council did this later, because we're in the process of preparing all the jobs descriptions that'll have to go up with the state, and this is one thing we'll have to do, is provide the pay scale.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there any further discussion on Resolution 54-24? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
No.
Councilmember Hines,
No.
Mayor Lily,
Yes.
3 yeses, 2 nos. Motion carries.
But
No.
motion does not carry.
Motion does not carry.
Why?
There's 3 yeses and 2 nos.
Mr. Best?
Any action of the mayor and council requires 4 affirmative votes under the charter.
Motion does not carry. Motion fails.
Yes. Okay, next we will move to Resolution 55-24. This is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights, Maryland, authorizing the treasurer to transfer lost earnings to town employee retirement accounts. And this resolution is introduced by myself, Mayor Lilly. I move that we adopt resolution 55-24. Is there a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 55-24. Discussion.
I just kind of get a summary of this.
Yes.
Sorry, I was just checking something on one of the resolutions. Yes, so this is legislation, Mr. Frankenfield spoke about this one related to the 457. So due to some record keeping issues and payments not being allocated appropriately to the 457 when we were doing the employer contribution. What this does is makes the employees whole. So it went back to say what was not deposited during that particular time frame, apply the appropriate interest rates, and then give the employees the money that they were due during that time because it was never actually deposited. So this is an attempt to make the employees whole fiscally within the 457. That's basically the gist of it. There, of course, there is a financial impact of $1,356.11, which will be deposited across the various accounts within 457.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Hines, did that provide background for you?
It did, but
Councilmember Brownson.
I don't see a line item where this money is coming from. In here, I might have missed it, but I don't see a line item from where this money gonna come from.
Hello?
Oh, I see your hand, Council President. Go ahead.
So does the whereas on page 2, the treasurer has calculated the lost earnings for all employees to be approximately 11,300, and the town has appropriated 122,722 in the fiscal year 23-24 budget. So we've already appropriated the funds. You're asking, I'm sorry, Council Brownson, I wanted to understand. You were asking about where it's coming from on the in the budget?
Yes, because the 23-24 budget is closed out. We are when June, it was the 24-20, yeah, it's closed out. So, yeah, so where's this money coming from? And still need a line item. It's got to come from somewhere. I don't care if it was appropriated. It was appropriated someplace.
I agree, and we did discuss it in the Finance Committee meeting, so yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you, Council President and Councilmember Brownson.
We can check for the line item. This is, we can add that, but it would be out of the FY24 budget. Is we're still, Mr. Frankenfield is still closing that budget out, and this is still one of the lingering items for the FY24 budget.
Well, we can bring it back to the 17th. You have to check with Mr. Frankenfield.
He did say this one was time sensitive and needed to be passed sooner than later, closer to the end of the FY24. I'm hoping that
Oh, is this a closeout by the midpoint in July?
Correct.
To close out FY 24 to begin the process for the audit for 24. Okay.
Yes. So that's why I think Mr. Frankenfield, when he looked at this, looked at the appropriation as it's laid out on his exhibit in the back. On page 3, showing where it's coming from. However, I see where council's coming from as far as it being deficient with the line item.
Well, in the interest of time, can we,
Come back, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, let's do that. We could, let's amend the agenda and come back to this one. If you can find the line item because it's already in the budget in FY 24 and there's only one line item concerning this. All right, well, I move that we amend the agenda. We're gonna move this item, we're gonna come back to this item. So we're gonna move this agenda item. We have several more items to discuss. I move that we amend the agenda, moving resolution 55-24 until after resolution 59-24.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we amend the agenda, moving resolution 55-24 after discussion of resolution 59-24. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. So the agenda has been amended. We'll come back to this resolution after 59-24. Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And for your reference later, it's line item 9003-7129. Retirement contributions.
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
Yes, it's 9003-7129. Retirement contributions.
Okay, next we'll move to items under discussion. First, we have resolution 56-24, and this is a resolution to approve and authorize a service agreement for newsletter and related services between the town of Forest Heights and Liturgical Publications, Inc., also known as LPI. This resolution is introduced by myself, Mayor Lilly, and this is up for discussion only. Mr. O'Connor, could you give an overview of resolution 56-24 for council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So resolution 5624, it outlines the provision of services to the town of Forest Heights at no charge for newspaper services. The services would consist of creating 2,500 bilingual newsletters, of course, in Spanish and English, electronic distribution of the newsletter as well, posting on our website as well, and the revenue to support this would be done through advertising. So the questions that I posed related to the particular vendor was if the mayor and council was not happy, would they be able to leave this contract prior to contractual term? And the answer was yes. The mayor and council would be able to leave prior to the 3-year term. They just got to give 6 months notice. This way the vendor can wind down all advertisement that has been happening with local businesses in the area. The other question that was asked is would the particular businesses know that the town of Forest Heights, this is their newsletter, and that's where they'd be advertising. And the answer is yes, they would say that, they're advertising the town of Forest Heights newsletter. The resolution also captures, or maybe the highlights capture the cost savings over 3 years to the town, which is about $108,000 over 3 years. In printing, mailing, postage, staff time that's associated with it. So the contract can be backed out of by mayor and council should the services not be satisfactory. And again, there's no cost and it would be electronic and bilingual. It has been reviewed for legal sufficiency as well.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there a discussion from council on resolution 56-24? Council President McDonald.
I think we had talked about LPI before. And I'm still not clear as to what the penalty, if any, if we were just to decide that it doesn't work for us. And then also I don't know if there's an opportunity for a pilot, if you will, to see if we are able to use this service and that it benefits us in a way that it provides a connection with the residents. The newsletter that we have that's been newly, I guess, redesigned, if you will, by our administrative assistant, has done a marvelous job. And so I think there's still some things for me that's just not real clear. Like, what is the real benefit of partnering with LPI? And if there's a pilot opportunity, and if there are any consequences or losses to the town if we would have to withdraw. And I'm reiterating that because it's still not clear to me. Thank you.
So there's no cancellation penalties related to this, unless you are out inside that 6-month window. So we wouldn't face any penalties. The reason for that is they need 6 months to wind down with all the advertisers and ship them to different newsletters. Related to a pilot, they do not do pilots because it takes several months for them to gear up and get advertisers on board to pay for it. So they don't just do a pilot related to it. However, you could look at this as a pilot because if you give 6 months notice, you can break free of it. So you could treat it as a pilot, and if it works, or you like what's going out, you could do it that way. The biggest benefit to the town is right now in the budget, there's only $4,000 for the newsletter. The newsletter on a monthly basis is very expensive to print. Between the copier, the ink, for instance, this last newsletter that we did, we had 3 yellow, 3 blue, 2 toners, and it was, a couple thousand copies. And we pay per copy for the newsletter. I just happened to get this today. 0.04 cents, 0.01. This is a renewal for it. If you go down, the other thing is we pay for any extra maintenance that goes into the copier. And if you go down now from the last 2 newsletters, the copier is squealing. So we're going to have maintenance come back in. I'm sure the budget could be amended, but overall, the other thing is productivity for staff. While the staff is printing the newsletter or designing the newsletter, it's taking them away from doing other things. Now, I think Ms. Payne does an amazing job at the newsletter. I think she did an amazing job on the last one. It was great. So there is that. Overall, I'm looking at least from this with the cost savings that's associated with it long-term. That's what comes with it. I did get an example from Edmonds. That utilizes them. There's a couple municipalities.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Councilmember Brownson?
Yeah, I think one of my concerns was that no matter who does the newsletter, it's still not getting to the residents, all the residents. So if they still gonna be going through the mail service or something like that, that's one of the problems with the newsletter. And then another thing, with any contractor that we use, we still have to do the content. And that's another problem with the newsletter, that we're not getting the residents information that they can use. Most of the newsletter now is just pictures, which causes a lot of ink. And that doesn't, I mean, it's not, in my opinion, it's not giving information that the residents need or information that they can use. Most of the newsletter is history, what has not taken place. So that whoever, if you get LPI, anyone, it's not solving those problems. The content and the distribution are the main problems with I feel, with our newsletter.
So we just started using the Postal Service again.
And I still haven't gotten a newsletter. I know that. And a lot of residents don't, because before, history is that when you go to the post office up there on Officer Hill Road, there are two male people that does it. And if you only do one code, a certain section would get it and another section won't. So it needs to be, I think, investigated, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely using Every Door direct mail. I did the routes myself. I'm very familiar with it. Each one was labeled and bundled and dropped off, so if you haven't gotten it yet, we've already mailed the July one, so.
I know some
yeah.
people have gotten it, but I don't know whether they've been down on our end.
Yeah, so,
So-
I mean, I know that if you haven't gotten it by now, you probably aren't getting it, I would say.
And so I don't know how LPR or anybody, just because they're printing copies and sending it to us, and we still gotta take it to the post office, that's not gonna solve our problem.
Distribution has besides LPI, distribution's always been the problem, finding the most efficient way. And one of the things that was a factor in this as well is trying to find a solution for the future. Because we're going to have an influx of residents with National View. So there's just not going to be a way for us to effectively distribute a newsletter through National View for every single resident unless we iron everything out now. But if I'm glad you're mentioning that you haven't got the newsletter, because that means I have to have a conversation with the postal master about the delivery, because I personally did the routes on that and oversaw every single bundling that happened and it getting dropped off at the postal office. So I know it was done correctly because I've mailed thousands of pieces that way. So it sounds like it's a carrier issue.
Maybe.
But you know, the content's another thing. The reason we're restricted, you know, we try to capture what happened and get everything out is because we can't print a larger newsletter down there. LPI can.
It doesn't necessarily have to be larger. It just has to be more content, some information. Yes, information. All these pictures and stuff is not necessary for a newsletter. And that's where the ink cost comes in. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Councilmember Hines?
I received a concern in Birchwood that they got a newsletter, a Forest Heights newsletter, whereas on Onondaga, I'm getting calls, they haven't gotten, you're saying that July went out, they still haven't gotten June.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so the routes that the post office covers push out, and one of the routes covers about 100 homes in Birchwood. So when you mail, you have to do it that way. The door to door is just there's no simple solution, I guess. We've had this conversation for 2 years. you know, with the newsletter, with distribution, door to door, don't put it in the news, the mailbox or put it in the door and then people are still not getting it. So I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. Yeah, I don't have an answer for it. I just know that in the future, we're gonna have a lot more residents that are gonna get the newsletter. So I'm open for any other type of input.
More residents, more tax dollars. More budget.
Oh, that's always a good thing. Yes.
Well, I think we have come to the end of the road on this particular one, but that's fine. It sounds like we have some more adjustments we can do. So even though it may not be about approving the resolution at a future meeting per se, are there any things that specific items you feel like that it's missing that could be included in the newsletter? I know July's content is a little different inside, has resources inside for residents. I think that was, yeah, it was the last day in May, so basically June. Well, that's why I'm actually proposing now if there's some suggestions for information that is valuable to include based on conversations with residents.
And they be responsible for the newsletter.
I can't take your question right now, sir. We'll have another public period after this. Thank you. I understand.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Any other suggestions?
I like yeah, I do too. Maybe have less color.
I like the color, it's vibrant, but if people not reading the content, then it doesn't matter what's displayed.
Yeah, yeah.
This is how many colors on this page, Alon?
I know, right? It's all these colors, yeah. You got to think efficient.
All right, well, thank you for comment. I think we have the way forward on this, which is we're not going to go in that direction. We'll review some other opportunities to improve and make the newsletter more efficient.
Maybe when we get it together, it might be, maybe not at this time. How's that?
Mayor, if we could, for the record, could you get a motion to table? Or do something so we have an official, so we don't come back to it again. I don't know if that's even necessary, but I just so we don't, whoever in the future doesn't bring back up and it's requested.
If they do, I'll see it on the agenda.
And you know with it.
I was just thinking about what Councilmember Brooks said. Thank you.
All right, well, with that, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is resolution 57-24. This is a resolution providing for a Vision Zero policy to eliminate fatalities and serious injuries that are a result of crashes on streets within the incorporated limits of the town of Forest Heights by January 1st, 2030. And this is up for discussion this evening, not voting or requesting a vote on this. Introduced by myself and Council President McDonald. Discussion. And let's have a highlight overview for this resolution. Mr. O'Connor.
So Vision Zero is a philosophy. It's a philosophy that says public safety and the community are going to work together to do everything possible to bring traffic fatalities and in general down to zero, whether that's vehicular or pedestrian. What this resolution does is it sets that philosophy and that vision in motion for the town. It provides a clear direction for staff. It accepts the consolidated transportation plan for the state. It accepts the state highway safety plan for the roads with Prince George's County. It also lays out things for future grant funding for the Safe Streets for All grant funding. It also helps us show how we can provide road safety audits such as bike lanes, protected lanes, sidewalks. So basically, if this is considered by council, it would be accepting the philosophy that we're going to do everything possible within our means to be at 0 traffic fatalities in our jurisdiction by 2030.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Council, questions for resolution 57-24? Councilmember Brunson.
I haven't had an opportunity to read that thick package, but it is thick. I'm looking it over. But so I might have missed some things. But in that, are there any statistics to say how many fatalities we had in the road in our jurisdiction over any period of time?
There's 2 pedestrians that have been killed in the last 2 years on 210.
What about within the town, corporate? I know 210 is part of some, but within the corporate limits, excluding 210.
So, okay, so 210 aside, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't believe there's been any traffic fatalities on our secondary streets.
Okay.
So our main concern would be Oxon Hill Road and 210, where the speed limits are higher.
Okay, so in here, you said something about safe streets. So is there anything in there about making the streets within, excluding Oxon Hill Road, making the streets safer for like with, like, say Seneca, for instance, everyone has to walk in the street, which is to me a hazard. So is anything in there or about that as far as safe streets?
So that would be the plan that comes after accepting this resolution.
Philosophy.
Right, so you accept the philosophy,
Mhm.
and then the Public Safety Committee would work with the chief and the rest of staff to come up with plans for traffic safety, whether it's traffic safety initiatives, sidewalks, protected bike lanes, rather than sidewalks, or bike and pedestrian lanes that are semi-protected. So there's lots of different ways, and what happens is you take that and you say, okay, we're gonna do a planning grant for this. Submit that to the federal government, and they say, okay, we're gonna fund your planning project for this, or we're gonna go ahead and fund the actual infrastructure that's associated with it.
Okay.
So by accepting this philosophy, the mayor and council are saying, we're gonna drive in that direction, and and we're gonna try and fix these issues or stop it before somebody does get killed.
Okay.
But we can't submit the grant unless you accept this philosophy.
Okay, I understand, and I appreciate that, and I do accept the philosophy. And while I was at MML, I attended a session, and they were saying, I kept talking about, children have to walk in the street. And so the speaker said that what we need to do is apply for an implementation grant first, which goes with this philosophy. So it all ties in. He said that some of them will be coming up in October. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Mr. O'Connor, we got some information from a gentleman at the conference who presented on safety devices and design as well. So we may have gotten some of that information already. So thank you for mentioning that.
It's actually uploaded because it's so big. It's uploaded into Board Docs. All that your packet wouldn't like this if I printed it. I wasn't trying to do that to you. But it's all up there. If you'd like to take a look at it, I can try and send you an email. It may not go through, but figure it out. All right. Just want to make sure.
Can I just say something, Mayor?
Council President McDonald, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to just say that by attending MML, there's so much to take in at MML. And for me, this experience this time around gave me an opportunity to meet some people and to bring back information and I guess resources that will be really beneficial to the town. So it was a good opportunity for networking this time around and really getting to meeting people who's got what we need to move the town forward. So I just wanted to put that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. Is there any other discussion on Resolution 57-24? All right, hearing none, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is Resolution 58-24. This is a resolution to declare and dispose of a Department of Public Works vehicle as surplus property. And this item is up for discussion this evening. Mr. O'Connor, could you just tell us a little bit about the vehicle
Yes, we have.
and the plan for replacement or not, or no replacement after this one is disposed of?
So we have the F-250 Ford Super Duty, and that's a 2010, and a 2009 Chevy Silverado 1500. The Super Duty has had the gas tank fall out of it, and the bolts are rusted out, and is no longer safe to operate. The Chevy Silverado the transmission's blown. There's several other issues mechanically related to it, and it is going to be absorbent to fix if they can even find the right transmission for the vehicle. Right now, it's sitting at Fleet, and it's been there for an extended period of time. These two vehicles, based on their condition, the safety, and the money that the town would have to sink into them, we're requesting them to be surplus. At this time, we are not requesting replacements. However, they do need replacements in the future. Department of Public Works is utilizing the vehicles that they have now to accomplish their tasks. They're doing a good job, but we need to wait until December to come back and reconsider either the overall purchase of the vehicles or entering into an agreement with Enterprise Fleet Services for an actual fleet based on the cost analysis with finance. But that's a different conversation for another time. But either way, these two vehicles are past their service life at this point.
With the winter season coming up, by the time December gets here, it's likely we could be getting inclement weather, could have already gotten it, or we'll want to be prepared for that. How does that affect us without having vehicles replaced until that time?
So we have two vehicles that can be utilized as plow trucks, actually three, that can utilize as plow trucks, and two of which can be utilized for salt spreading. I believe the other one, no. Yeah, we have two for salt spreading, and the other one cannot because of the lift gate that's on the back. So based on how much we get, it could impact us, but DPW on this last winter cycle was able to maintain it with the vehicles that they currently have now.
So the two vehicles that are potentially disposed of they weren't used for snow removal last year?
So the F-250, yeah, F-250 was used for snow removal. So it'll be a slight impact, but it's not, I don't believe it's anything that's going to shut us down. If we could do something with the vehicles before then, fiscally speaking, that'd be great. But I think we're in a position where waiting is probably going to be the option that we have, at least till that first tax disbursement.
And that's what we're waiting for.
That and the automated enforcement revenue to level out. So there's a couple other, the income is what we're waiting on.
Basically.
Questions from other council members?
Just have a question. I was looking at the year of the vehicles and the mileage. And usually, I know you can't determine this, but usually like F-450s, don't they get like 200 and some thousand miles on them normally?
So the diesels, absolutely. You wanna go ahead? Yeah.
The reason why is because they wasn't properly maintenance when they bought them. So it was long overdue. When something happens, they just put Band-Aids on it. And so now when we're taking it to the county fleet, they're fixing old problems, which it costs too much. They were not properly maintenance when they had them back then.
So when you bought them, they had problems.
So no, the town bought these vehicles brand new.
Oh,
And so they've been here since they bought them.
oh, wow.
But when they bought them, it wasn't on a proper maintenance plan and everything now. So like, if you look at them, when they had a misfire, they didn't take it to the shop. They kept driving through it. And through the misfire, which caused more internal engine damage, or they didn't report it, or they didn't do vehicle inspections. So that's the issue of these vehicles. It wasn't properly maintenance.
You know, and just, you know, it's like the trucks are not being maintained, the records are not being maintained. I mean, it's a royal mess.
They were not being.
Right, we're not, right.
Yeah,
It's a royal mess.
you hit the nail on the head. I would say, and I don't want to belabor the point, but Chief Reese did an amazing job putting stuff together with records. We're in there. I've had great help from staff trying to get stuff straight. And there's a maintenance program in effect now for our vehicles that are here. One just came back from the shop. So we're not going to let this happen again.
On that great question, great segue, is the maintenance program outlined so that someone that, comes in the role of either interim town administrator or public works director can continue maintaining the vehicle and understanding what the timeframes are, and staff is it documented so we can keep track of it and keep it in place?
Yes, it's documented, and we have somebody that actually manages the services, when they need to go, how they need to go. They notify staff and they coordinate directly with fleet services. And that also includes if a vehicle is in an accident, they coordinate with fleet services. So everything's in place, it's written, it's documented, and there's a back end process as well to capture everything. So we can tell exactly what's happening with these trucks.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. The last part of that question, then I'm going to go to Council President McDonald. The items that documentation we're building in policy, is it stored in a place that's online or that's in our SharePoint so that it can also be accessed easily by current and future team members or council administration and otherwise?
Yes, it is. Any documentation that we have of any build outs, policies, procedures is put into the shared drive. For instance, the community garden. We're started taking in documents. I requested Jasmine to create a folder, community garden folder, all the receipts, all the documents, everything's there. And the same thing, like all our resolutions, ordinances, you can.
In SharePoint though, not just the share folder, but like the SharePoint site where it's.
I'm pretty sure it's in, I'll double check back on SharePoint, but I'm pretty sure it's in SharePoint on the share folder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council President McDonald.
I just wanted to make a comment in thanking then interim Chief ITA Chief Reese and now interim TA Mr. O'Connor, because when we brought up the issue before about the bookkeeping, the inventory of items with DPW, and those things have not gone on deaf's ear. And so I do believe that we have recognized the things that have needed to be resolved in terms of tracking, proper bookkeeping and things of that nature, and have done significant have taken significant steps in making those matters better. So I want to be encouraged. I want us to be encouraged that, we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. I agree. And to Councilmember Brownson's report, yes, we've uncovered a lot that we had to fix, and council's diligence with asking questions, following up, and meeting in committee to discuss issues that even further outside of the regular town meetings has been very beneficial. And so staff, I think, get the message that we are moving forward with better processes that are repeatable, that can continue even when staff come and go. And I just wanted to impress that last piece, which is that we move records and papers or documents that are created to somewhere that's digital, electronic, that can easily be shared and accessed as well. All right, is there any other further discussion on resolution 58-24? Council President, is your hand back up, or was that still raised from earlier? Okay. All right, hearing none, we'll move to the next item on our agenda this evening. Resolution 59-24, which is a resolution to authorize and approve a fee schedule regarding fees collected pursuant to the town ordinance code. Resolution 59-24 is up for discussion this evening. So let's open it for discussion. And could we get Mr. Best, are you familiar with resolution 59-24 to give an overview of some of the changes or any legal effect?
This ordinance goes hand in hand with an ordinance that has yet to be passed that was renumbered tonight to 10-24. This resolution should be subsequent to the passage of that ordinance 10-24, because this resolution is contingent on new section 1.13 being placed in the code of ordinances. What I did and being tasked by Mr. O'Connor to prepare this resolution is I went through all the various fees that are named in the code, and you can see it in the table below the now therefore be it resolved clause, starting with section 3.2 and then working through the code, all the various fees that are named in your code of ordinances and the amount, the section of the code, and what the new fee is proposed. Some places it's unchanged, some places it's doubled, other places it's increased by something less than doubling. But it's for you to peruse through the table here and decide what is a reasonable fee for each of these fees that are named in your code of ordinances. So you have quite a few here. And when this ordinance, the ordinance I referenced, takes effect, then you can change any fee that's set in your code by simply passing a resolution. There's an exception if it's a fine or penalty, monetary penalty, then you have to give a special notice for that and place that in a newspaper general circulation. But if it's just a regular fee, you can change it by passing a resolution. And that ends my synopsis of resolution 59-24.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Are there questions or comments and discussion from council on resolution 59-24? Council President McDonald.
Attorney Best, thank you for this. Should we include the fee for the community garden in here? Because it is stated in the ordinance of the $25.
Yeah, I believe that was overlooked because at the time, the community garden ordinance had not yet been passed.
Okay,
So, yes, unless this is amended, this resolution 5924, I really wouldn't worry about it because the community garden fee is brand new. That's something you can entertain in a future year, outlying year. But you certainly can, if you wish to amend this particular resolution, you're free to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Thank you, Council President McDonald. Was there a desire to amend, to include it or wait till a later time? Councilmember Bronson.
I thought with the community garden, we have a separate resolution with it in there. And ordinance, we have it in there. And he said we can change it by resolution if we choose to change it in the future. So it's kind of already has its own ordinance and resolution. So,
Right, since it's brand new anyway, why would you consider changing it? You're probably just gonna leave it as is.
This resolution is updating existing fees and changing them. Got it. All right. If there's no further question on resolution 59-24 or comment, we will move now to conclude legislation. I'm sorry, my apologies. We're going to go to, thank you, council member. Resolution 55-24. We amended the agenda to come back to resolution 55-24. And this is a resolution of the mayor and council of the town of Forest Heights authorizing the treasurer to transfer lost earnings to the town employees' retirement accounts. All right, and we have a line item. So I move that we adopt resolution 55-24. Is there a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 55-24. Discussion.
can you, I think I was out when you did the line item. Can I get that?
Absolutely. Because we will need to amend to include it. And all right. Well, I'm going to let Mr. O'Connor just restate it for the record.
I fixed two things, Mr. Mayor. In the second page of the resolution, in the third whereas, it says, whereas the treasurer has calculated the lost earnings for all employees to be approximately 11,300. I corrected that to match the calculations, which is, it should read $11,356.11. And then on the second page, it says, now therefore be it resolved, the town grants authority to the treasurer to transfer the calculated lost earnings in the amount of $11,356.61 from line item 90037129 to the retirement plan to account for the employee lost earnings as indicated in the calculations below prepared on 6/14/24.
Okay. So I just have one
I
question with
see.
that.
I see. Just one second, council member. I'm going to come to you in just a moment. Okay, so that was amending the whereas clause before the now therefore be it resolved to match the dollar amount and inserting the line item after, which word was it?
It would be in the now therefore be it resolved It reads, in the amount of $11,356.61 from line item 9003-7129 to the retirement plan.
Okay, and the name of that line item is retirement contributions?
Yes, would you like me to insert that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, council member, you had a question?
Yes, the last whereas, and you're using exact figures, $11,356.61. Do we still need the word approximately?
Oh,
Mr.
on that
Vest?
third whereas, I can strike it.
Okay.
I'll pull it out.
Mhm.
What about the approximately where it says 99,000 further later on in that sentence?
Um,
I guess we'll leave that approximately. Okay. Okay.
all right, Mr. Mayor, so the changes I have, would you like me to read it in its entirety, or are you good?
I think I have it.
Okay.
And but just for the sake of clarity, you can read it.
All right, on page 2 of resolution 55-24 in the third whereas the treasurer has calculated the lost earnings for all employees to be $11,356.11. And the town has appropriated $122,722 in the FY 23-24 budget, of which approximately $99,000 will be used after the Q4 FY 24 transfer, leaving funds of approximately $24,000 to fund the employee's lost earning transfer. Now therefore be it resolved, the town grants authority to the treasurer to transfer the calculated lost earnings in the amount of $11,356.11 from line item 9003-7129 retirement contributions to the retirement plan to account for the employee lost earnings as indicated in the calculations below, prepared on 6/14/24.
Okay, and it's 11,356.61, right?
Correct. Yes.
61. Okay. I move that we amend resolution 55-24 in the third whereas on this page 2. In the first sentence, striking approximately and striking 11,300, inserting $11,356.61. And in the now therefore be it resolved clause, after the number 11,356.61, inserting the words from line item 9003-7129 retirement contributions. Is there a second? It has been moved and seconded that we amend resolution 55-24 on page 2 and third whereas, striking the words approximately in the first sentence and then striking the number 11,300, inserting 11,356.61. And then in the now therefore be it resolved clause, after the number 11,356.61, inserting the words from line item 9003-7129 retirement contributions. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. I move that we adopt resolution 55-24 as amended. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 55-24 as amended. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
President McDonald,
Yes.
Councilmember Little,
Yes.
Councilmember Brownson,
Yes.
Councilmember Hines.
No.
Mayor Lily,
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes and motion carries as amended. That concludes legislation for this evening. Now we will have the second public period. And public period is, let me read well, it's not going to show up. Public period is a time for members of the public to speak or provide comment. We ask that those who want to speak provide their name. And we may be able to answer your question, or we may provide the answer from the department or the appropriate official at a later time. You have 2 minutes to speak. Is there anyone who wishes to speak during public period at this time? And I actually have someone online, so I'm going to go to the person that's online and then we'll go to you, sir.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Good evening. Could you please state your name? You'll have 2 minutes to provide comment.
Sure. My name is Andrea McCutcheon, and the comments I have are you're being reactive rather than proactive, such as the stop sign at Seneca and Mohican. They're running the stop sign at like 30 miles an hour, and that's a safety issue. There are kids walking in the street now. The second thing is you have prowlers going around trying doors and prowling in yards that you're not addressing. When the police come through, they have all their lights on and the prowlers see them and hide until they go by, if the police even come through. The second thing or third thing I have are the fire hydrants at Seneca and Mohican. I've told the Public Works, I think he's the supervisor in the white car, twice, that the fire hydrants have weeds and vines growing around them, and the one on Seneca, actually on Mohican, has not it isn't designated with a blue on the sidewalk, and they block that fire hydrant often. The next thing I have is, as far as the driving school, again, this is something reactive to the accident that was had in the Chase yesterday in Southeast DC, chasing a alleged vehicle going on the sidewalk, hitting a tree. Council asked nothing about that or why it was needed, because there had not been training. The other thing I want to mention are the agendas are not in the newsletter, and it's, if you're online, you don't know have any idea what you're talking about. So that needs, and also this June newsletter didn't even have the Zoom number to call in on. And also the hearing that you had tonight, it wasn't publicized as is stated in the resolution that you have. Another thing is the council meeting that was held on the 19th. You said there would be a council meeting, and you actually had the council meeting the following day. So, you know, you're violating all the ordinances, the charter, and you just keep moving forward. And the calendar doesn't say anything about a public hearing that's on the website now. The other thing that.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon.
Okay, I just wanted to state also that solicitors need to make appointments and not speak during public period. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCutcheon. Your comments are duly noted. Thank you for mentioning the stop sign, the hydrants, and the safety issues. Just wanted to point out that the meetings for June 19th and 20th were publicized both on the website and the newsletter, and on the signboards and at the town building as well. Thank you for your comments, and we look forward to following up with the safety concerns that you provided and outlined in your comments tonight. Mr. O'Connor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just for the record, Ms. Hawkins did an amazing job related to the annexations, and uploaded in board docs as well as publicized was the notice of public hearing that was required for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public period at this time? Mr. Perry, correct? Reed, my apologies, Mr. Reed, come forward again, sir. All right, again, you'll have 2 minutes, and let's make sure your microphone is on so folks at home can hear
Mr.
you.
Green, hello again. Hi. Hey, I like the idea of the newsletter, and I was just wondering, do you have advertising space? Because we would love to run an ad because about 35% of people in the Forest Heights neighborhood are eligible for free solar, and we would love to get the word out. We're excited about doing a mailing, and we would love to get an ad space in the paper because we know that with Pepco's rates increasing, with the fact that in order to go solar, you have to have good credit or cash. It's just a beautiful thing that people can go solar for absolutely free. And these solar panels will reduce that Pepco bill by 75 to as much as 95%. So it provides relief to the community. So we're excited. So again, I just wanted to know if there was a chance, an opportunity to get an ad going on in the wonderful newspaper. And again, I do thank you for your time. Y'all guys rock.
Thank you, Mr. Reed, for being here tonight. Well, I guess as it stands, there's no ads in the newspaper, but it'll be something for if there's a future newsletter committee that's created, something for that committee to consider and bring to council as a recommendation potentially. All right, if there's no one else who wishes to speak during public period this evening, public period is now closed. Next, we have council member and mayor reports, and we'll begin with Ward 1, Council Member Little.
Good evening. I just wanted to highlight that did attend the recent MML conference, which was very enlightening. I met wonderful people and came back with some wonderful ideas that I'm ready to hit the road running with. Also, the garden is looking beautiful and the babies are growing, so I'm excited about that as well. You're very encouraged to go over and take a look and come help water the plants. And that'll be all for my report. Oh, stay safe out here. It's a lot going on. Keep your doors locked and, just watch your surroundings.
Thank you, Councilmember Little. Next, we'll go to Ward 2, Councilmember Brownson. I'm sorry, Council President McDonald. I'm sorry. You're here virtually. My apologies.
No worries. Good evening. The Town of Forest Heights Sustainable Maryland application has been submitted, so we met the deadline. We do expect feedback from the reviewers, and we will respond accordingly. As stated by our youth coordinator, Mr. Holland, the Washington Association Bicycling, the Wobble, and partnership with Forest Heights Elementary School, Youth Learn to Ride education classes will kick off September 7th through September the 14th. A few items about the community garden. So Curtis so graciously offered a water hose reel, and we would like to take him up on that so that the reel could hook up to the hose easily, because dragging around that hose is just it's a bit much. There is a pile of wood and sticks that we would like to request be removed so we could get help with that. That would be helpful. It's all in one area, so if they could pick that up for us, that would be helpful. And then individuals who have claimed plots are aware of the annual fee of $25 and will be given to the town administrative assistant in the form of a check or money order. So far as meetings this month for the Green Team meeting, the Green Team will have a meeting on the July the 27th at 10 o'clock to 10:30. Then from 10:30 to 11, there will be the Finance Committee meeting. And then from 11 to 11:30, it will be the Ways and Means Committee. And I'm not sure if Council Brownson wants to have the meeting or not have the meeting, but that's the meetings for the month of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President McDonald. I'll go to Councilmember Brownson for Ward 2. Next.
I don't have much to report. I did attend MML and I learned a lot. I think once you finish your classes, you have time to go and really learn rather than going from class to class to class to class. So one of the classes I went to was resilience in municipalities. And the topic was the city of Annapolis. They doing this $100 million water project. And they have been developing it for 5 years. And one of the things I got out of it, he said that in order to do a big project, you need to keep a large cash balance. Because with the large cash balance in your town, you have money to leverage. You have money to go after grants with. It's when opportunities come up, if you have to match, you can match. But in order to be resilient and to do large projects, you need to keep a large cash balance. So that's one of the things we want to stress about spending everything that we have all the time or going over budget. We need a large cash balance. That's what I got out of it. And they show what Annapolis is doing as far as stormwater management and clean air. And it's a great project. So we can learn something from that. And I also talked with the representatives from the town of Edmonton and Hyattsville, I think. They have a green city in town. And they give us some, and I'm gonna have a meeting with them because they talked about rain barrels in the garden, how they got grants to fund that, how they got money for bike trails and stuff like that. So, and they're doing a good job. I got their postcards and it just shows how green they are and what they're doing and then what kind of funding the guy was able to get. So I did learn that. And as Councilwoman Little said, the garden is coming along. We have revamped the garden altogether. All the plots except one have been rented. So, and we have people in the community coming out every day looking, saying, what are you doing? So it's really bringing, I feel, it's really bringing the community together. And we have people that haven't been involved in the town before getting involved in the garden. One guy said that he had been here over 30 years. He lived 2 doors from the garden. And when I asked him, do he want to apply? He said, yes, I always wanted to go over there, but I was scared. So, you know, it's like we really open up something to the community and that's what we really want to do. So that's the purpose of the garden, not necessarily to, you know, grow out. I mean, it is to grow our food and be healthy, but it's really bringing the community together. So I want to thank Council President McDonald, Mr. O'Connor, and all the rest of the council and all the residents for participating and make this a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson.
And the Ways and Means Committee will not be having a meeting this month. We will do September or October once the first quarter report comes out, financial report comes out.
Thank you, Councilmember Brownson. Now we'll go to I see Council President McDonald. Is that something related to what Member Brownson just said?
Yes, it is very quickly. So the community garden is been such a blessing. And it has just brought a huge sense of community. I just can't reiterate that enough. It's also an opportunity for us to network and fellowship and get people involved. And so hopefully that will help in that area as well, with talking about the various subcommittees and the support that we need, especially with the green team that we are going to be, you know, pushing out even the more. So I want to also thank Council Brownson too, with doing some of the coordination and things of that nature and getting things you know, moving forward in terms of the, you know, the administrative part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, and also Council Little too. She's been doing it as well. She's been involved. All the council have been really doing a good job, but Council Brownson and Little also too with the administrative part, because we need help. We need help. Thank you.
I'm just gonna shout out Councilmember Noble, who has been involved as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Council President. Councilmember Hines, representing Ward 3.
First, I would like to say that on June 24th, 2024, Forest Heights opened up for any child, not just at Forest Heights, but any child that, would like to receive breakfast and lunch and a snack. And the hours are 9 o'clock to 9:30 for breakfast. And then for lunch, it's from 12 to 1. And as I said, they opened up on June 24th. And I just want to say that, it's going really good. I went over there just to see it. Forest Heights Elementary. I also talked to Forest Heights Baptist Church, and they want to understand, they thought that they were included in Forest Heights, the town of Forest Heights. Well, they're having a community day this Saturday, and they're inviting everyone to come out. And I believe it's from 10 to 4 or 10 to 2. I'm sorry. But they also wanted to know if they could get newsletters, given to their, because they have so many, the people, their congregation that would like to get some information. And lastly, oh wow, I forgot. I don't want to jump in on that, but okay, yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, please, everyone, be safe out there. It's the 4th of July coming up, and be careful with the fireworks and the children, and remember the dogs. So, thank you. Happy 4th.
Thank you, Councilmember Hines, representing Ward 3.
I have a question.
Yes, Council President.
Councilmember Hines, I just wanted to ask again. So the breakfast, lunch, and snacks are given out, you said at Forest Heights?
Yes.
And that's every day?
Yes, every day. Yes.
Including
every
weekends?
day.
Just weekdays, okay.
Just weekdays, okay. And then, do they need help with anything that you know of?
They wouldn't turn you away, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I didn't hear anything. I saw something, but I'm asking again about the camp. And maybe Chief Reese knows about that part, but I wanted to get the dates on the camp again and when it starts.
That opens up on
Yeah, I'm gonna let Chief Reese, I'll let Chief Reese give the dates for the camp.
So the camp is July 8th through August the 2nd. Starts at 8:30 daily. We've already, I think we're about 100% full for the children. As soon as the app went on, people on it. But yep, but July 8th through August the 2nd.
And what's the time, sir?
It starts daily at 8:30.
To what time?
Normally it's about 4:30 for drop off.
Okay.
Sorry for
So,
pickup.
okay. So if you all need any like chaperones or anything like that, let me know because I'm willing to help out.
Absolutely. You can
All right,
definitely ask our super volunteer.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council President and Chief Reese. Looking forward to the Police Activities League program. So we're getting towards the end of this meeting. I also was at Maryland Municipal League. Lots of great information there, and we have a couple graduates. I think Council President and myself crossed the threshold, so we'll graduate from the Academy at University of Maryland this September. And then also some members on council who are graduate students now, and Councilmember Little progressing through her certificate program, which is good. A couple of administrative items. So we do want to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. This July 4th on Thursday coming up. We do want you to be safe, as council has already mentioned. We also want you to know that the town administrative offices here will be closed on July 4th. And employees will be off. That's normally a trash pickup day on the west side of town, so the regular trash collection will not happen on July 4th. Mr. O'Connor, when is the makeup pickup gonna happen? I know trash will happen on Friday, but what about recycling and other items?
It's usually the following day that they'll do it, but due to some transitions with contractors, I need to reach out and verify how they're handling it.
Okay,
And I can get that back and put out one way or another.
okay, so but the trash collection will be on Friday instead of Thursday on the west side of town, which is Henry side.
Right. It should be, but I need to confirm that due to some recent changes with the recycling.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get at is we know for sure that there will be trash and there may be recycling. Whatever information we know for sure we want to put out. So the trash will definitely be picked up on Friday. You're not sure about that either.
We're not sure about that right now.
Okay. Is it,
Yeah.
what is it, bulk pickup?
Bulk.
Bulk pickup happens on Thursday.
Yeah, that's,
So
Gotcha.
bulk pickup, do you know anything about bulk pickup on Thursday?
it won't be moved till Friday.
It won't, so it'll be the following week.
Yes.
Okay, so trash will not happen on Thursday, we believe, because of the holiday. And then bulk pickup won't happen on Friday, it'll happen the following week on Thursday. And offices will be closed. All right, other things to note is that I was able to go to Third Baptist Church on Sunday. They celebrated their 166th anniversary and are continuing to look for ways to help the surrounding community. So we were able to emphasize that, and they sent greetings back to the town. And generally, we've talked about, I think, everything else. Lots of updates from council. So we're looking forward to summer camp and to a safe 4th of July holiday. We're getting items prepared for the next agenda and looking at bringing some resolutions in the future that would help us codify our process for getting the agenda out by a certain time to council, and then adding a cutoff date for new legislative items so that we would get agenda items out 5 days or earlier to council. And then we would have a cutoff date of the middle of the month for requesting new legislation for the following month. So as an example, items that are going to be presented in the beginning of August would be requested by July 15th to give time for staff to create the documentation and get that information out to council. We talked in the last meeting about a couple of items that we'll work on, considering RFPs for strategic planning, which is in our budget, and for one other item that I can't remember right now. All right. If there are no other updates or Councilmember Brownson, I'm gonna go and then the Council President McDonald.
Yeah, last time we talked about being excused for the month of August. Has there been anything about that anymore? Do we have to do a resolution or something in order to do that?
I'm gonna go to Mr. Best. We passed an ordinance that allows us to take a recess in August. Is there anything else we need to do?
No, you did it last time, not this. We haven't done it for this year.
Actually, it's a charter amendment
A charter amendment.
to allow as an option to recess in August. And your rules for the conduct of meetings require whenever you do a substantive decision that you do it by written resolution. So yeah.
So we need a resolution on the 17th, essentially. Okay.
To waive the meeting.
That would be the whole month, August.
That's what they were talking about.
Well, let's discuss. What does council think and feel about potential recess in August, so we can see if we're leaning in that direction or if we're not. And I'll take also a comment from staff about the need to consider any items that may be exigent. Is there any comment?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good time to have the team building training in August.
Okay. Council President McDonald, my apologies, your hand was up earlier.
No, I was just gonna say, I am not in the room, so I would like for someone to get the information from the gentleman who spoke about the Pepco information. If someone could get his name and phone number.
Okay,
Also, yeah,
Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed, yeah. And also, I do want to thank Mr. O'Connor
Yes.
for his due diligence with the Sustainable Maryland application. I did want to mention that. As far as the team building, for me, team building could be an exercise. It to me, it does not need to be as, I guess, involved as would a meeting for strategic planning. So strategic planning is a little more involved. It talks more about the goals and objectives and what we're trying to accomplish and things of that nature. But we could, I guess, discuss what a team building exercise would look like, since we have never really convened in any way outside of council meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts on recessing in August? Yes, yay versus nay. Councilmember Little.
I know I'll be out that first Monday in August.
Councilmember Hines. Thank you, Councilmember Little. Let's see. First date would be
August 5th.
August 5th and August 21st. Yep. Okay. Mr. O'Connor, is there any anticipated legislation or actions the council might need to take that would prevent the recess or make it cumbersome to do so?
At this point in time, there's no legislative request from staff. I have nothing that would be pending for the August agendas. Everything else is being crafted and we would need time anyway to put it all together. So anything would end up on September. So unless there's something that pops up in between now and then, there would likely be little to nothing on that agenda.
Okay.
That's planned.
All right. Council President.
I'd say recess in August. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, if there's no further comment or there is. Councilmember Brownson.
I just want to clarify that the legislative body is recessing, not the town staff.
No, the town will be, the town staff will continue work and plug away diligently at things that would be on the agenda for September. Well, one thing that we probably should be plugging away with, and I just want to mention this, is we decided that we want to do a smaller scale Forest Heights Day. Did we choose a date for that? I think I floated idea of September the 21st, potentially.
I recall the conversation. I do believe that was the day that you presented. And there was discussion on whether or not that took a resolution to do, or just a basic consensus, but I don't remember. Oh, no, we can get that ready by the 17th. That's an easy one.
Yeah, the budget for Forest Heights Day, I believe, is $4,000.
Yeah, it's
a low budget. It's under the threshold, and then also we can get some committee members together to work on that. So if any suggestions, maybe between now and the next meeting, maybe that can be something we can put together and try to have ready on the 17th. All right, the time is now 10:35 and this meeting is adjourned. Good evening.